The moment his lips brushed against my skin, everything changed. I had convinced myself it would be cold, mechanical, something I could endure with closed eyes, let happen, and then walk away from without a second thought. But I was wrong. The instant his mouth touched me, it was fire. Pure, unrelenting fire. He knew exactly how to make me feel, how to make me forget everything except him. And for the first time in my life, I experienced something I never had before. But before we go any further, if you've made it this far, you're intrigued. Trust me, this is only the beginning. Things only get more intense from here. Now, let's go back to where it all started. Mike and I had been married for 7 years. For most of those years, we were happy. We weren't rich, but we had love. We had dreams. But dreams don't pay the bills. And when Mike lost his job 2 years ago, everything began to unravel. I watched the man I loved crumble beneath the weight of rejection after rejection. It wasn't for lack of trying. He applied everywhere, swallowed his pride, sat through interviews for positions far beneath his skill level. But nothing stuck. Our savings drained faster than I ever expected. The rent notices piled up. The fridge was often empty. Some nights, we ate just once a day. We were sinking, and I was terrified. I had a job, of course, a receptionist at a small firm, but my salary barely covered anything. And I could see it in Mike's eyes, the shame of not being able to provide, the silent agony of watching me pick up the slack. He started retreating into himself, piece by piece, and I wasn't sure how much longer we could hold on. Then I met him. The first time I saw Ethan Collins, he barely noticed me. Just another face in a crowded office, another insignificant figure in the background of his world. A billionaire CEO with a presence so commanding, so consuming, that the air itself felt heavier when he entered a room. But the second time he saw me, that changed everything. The next day, I was called into my boss's office. My stomach twisted into knots. I thought I was about to be fired. Instead, I was handed a business card. Ethan Collins had requested a private meeting. I should have ignored it, should have thrown it away. But desperation does strange things to a person. We met at a restaurant so expensive it made my palms sweat. He didn't waste time. "I've seen you struggle," he said, his voice calm, confident. "I know your husband lost his job." My stomach dropped. How did he know? "I can help." He leaned in, his gaze unwavering. "I have a position at my company, one your husband is more than qualified for. A 6-figure salary. Stability. All you have to do is say yes." It sounded too good to be true. Because it was. He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. "But I don't give out favors for free. And you know what I want in return." My pulse thundered. This was a choice. I could walk away right then, pretend this never happened. Or I could stay, and let this man take something from me in exchange for saving us. That night, I lay beside Mike, listening to his steady breathing, feeling his arms wrapped around me, trusting me. I thought about our life together, the love we had built, the dreams we once shared. Then I thought about the empty bank account, the unpaid bills, the growing hollowness in Mike's eyes. By morning, I had my answer. I met Ethan Collins at a hotel, and from the moment I stepped inside, every part of me screamed that I was making a mistake. But I thought of Mike, of the job that would change our lives. And I stayed. I told myself it would be cold, detached. I would close my eyes, let it happen, and then walk away. But I was wrong. When it was over, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the crushing guilt to set in. But it didn't. I wasn't broken like I had imagined. I wasn't drowning in regret. Instead, something else stirred inside me. And that was the real betrayal. The next evening, Mike came home with eyes brighter than they had been in years. He pulled me into his arms, his voice full of something I hadn't heard in so long, hope. "Baby, I got the job," he said. "You won't believe it. It's with Collins Enterprises. Remember when I applied months ago? The CEO himself recommended me." The room spun. I gripped the counter, trying to steady myself. But Mike didn't notice. He was too happy, too relieved. He kissed me, whispering against my hair. "This changes everything. We're going to be okay." And in that moment, I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt trapped. Because I wasn't just indebted to Ethan Collins. I was bound to him. I told myself I could move on. That one night didn't define me. That I could lock the memory away, pretend it never happened. But temptation doesn't knock just once. It keeps calling. And I answered. The first time, I told myself it was just to thank him. A quick meeting. Nothing more. But the moment I stepped into his office, I knew I was lying to myself. He sat behind his massive desk, power radiating from him like an intoxicating cologne. When he saw me, he smirked, as if he knew exactly what I was thinking. I swallowed hard. "I just wanted to say thank you," I murmured, my voice unsteady. He stood, walking toward me, slow, deliberate. "Is that really why you came?" My breath hitched. I should have turned around. Walked out. Never looked back. Instead, I let him touch me. His thumb grazed my lips, his kiss swept away every last doubt, and when he pressed me against his desk, his hands pulling at my clothes, I didn't stop him. I didn't want to. That day, something inside me snapped. It wasn't about owing him anymore. It was about wanting him. And that terrified me more than anything else. The meetings became more frequent. The excuses easier to make. Every morning, Mike left for work, excited about his new job, telling me he was doing it for us. And every morning, I ran straight into Ethan Collins's arms. I told myself I could control it, that I could have this and still go home to be the perfect wife. But I was lying. I wasn't in control anymore. He was. A week later, Mike noticed the change. "You're different lately," he said one night, tracing circles on my arm. "Happier." I forced a laugh. "That's a good thing, right?" "Of course," he murmured. "It just feels like, I don't know, like you're carrying a secret." My body tensed. And for the first time in our marriage, I lied. "I'm just relieved," I whispered. "We're finally stable. That's all." And just like that, the deception began. By day, I was Mike's devoted wife. Smiling, cooking dinner, listening to him talk about his job. By night, I was Ethan Collins's secret. I surrendered myself to him in ways I had never imagined with anyone else. I knew I was treading dangerous ground. I knew something would eventually break. But I wasn't ready to stop. Because what had started as an arrangement had turned into an obsession. And I was losing myself in it. I had convinced myself that as long as I kept my emotions at bay, as long as my heart remained untouched, I wasn't truly betraying my marriage. But deep down, I knew I was lying. The first time I realized I was in too deep was the night I came home late. Mike was waiting for me, his arms crossed, his face drawn tight with worry. "Where were you?" If this had happened months ago, I might have panicked, my guilt clawing its way to the surface. I might have confessed everything, fallen to my knees, and begged for forgiveness. But instead, I lied, without hesitation, without remorse. "Out with some friends," I said smoothly, slipping off my heels as if his question barely registered. "Nothing serious." And that was the moment I knew I wasn't the woman I used to be, because I didn't even feel bad about it. The lies continued, slipping from my lips with effortless ease. I stayed late at work, feigning urgency, claiming the office needed me. And Mike, trusting and devoted, believed me. Why wouldn't he? I had never given him a reason to doubt me. But then the gifts kept piling up, designer bags, luxurious dresses, lavish weekend getaways disguised as girls' trips. Slowly, I saw the shift in Mike's eyes. The trust that once glowed so brightly began to dim. One evening, he held up a delicate gold necklace I had carelessly left on the dresser. "Where's all this stuff coming from?" he asked, his brow furrowed. My mind raced for an answer, my pulse quickening. "Oh, this." I let out a light laugh, brushing it off as nothing. "It's fake. Just a cheap little thing from the market." He studied it, running his fingers over the fine gold chain. "It doesn't look fake." Before he could ask more, I closed the distance between us, pressing my lips to his, using the warmth of my kiss as a distraction. And just like that, the walls of deception closed in a little tighter around me. Then, one afternoon, as I lay tangled in Mr. Collins's sheets, my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it, but when I saw Mike's name on the screen, my breath caught. Guilt struck me like a lightning bolt. "Hey, babe," I answered, forcing my voice to remain light casual. "Where are you?" I glanced at Mr. Collins, who reclined beside me, watching with that knowing smirk, his fingers tracing idle patterns on my skin. "At work," I lied easily, my voice unwavering. "Just finishing up some last-minute things." There was a pause on the other end. Then a soft sigh. "I just wanted to hear your voice. You've been different lately." My stomach twisted painfully. Before I could respond, Mr. Collins leaned in, his lips brushing the curve of my neck, slow, deliberate, possessive. A shiver ran down my spine, my breath hitching. Mike heard it. I dropped my pen," I stammered, scrambling for an excuse, for anything to cover up the truth. Silence stretched between us. "I miss you," Mike murmured. Guilt swelled inside me, suffocating and relentless. "I miss you too," I whispered, then quickly hung up, before he could hear any more, before the truth could slip through the cracks. And then I turned back to Mr. Collins. Let him touch me. Let him pull me under again. Because no matter how much guilt gnawed at me, I couldn't stop. But Mr. Collins didn't just want my body anymore. He wanted all of me. You're mine, he told me one night, his voice dark, possessive. Not just in this room. Everywhere. Always. I laughed nervously, trying to brush off the intensity of his words. But deep down I knew he wasn't joking. When I missed one of our meetings, he showed up outside my house. Panic shot through me as I hurried outside, my heart pounding against my ribs. What the hell are you doing here? I hissed, glancing around, terrified that Mike might see. He smirked, unfazed. You've been avoiding me. I swallowed hard. I was with my husband. My voice was sharp, edged with warning. Something flickered in his expression, something dark and unreadable. Your husband can have your words, he murmured, stepping closer, his fingers grazing my jaw, tilting my face toward him. But I possess your body. And he was right. But Mike wasn't blind. He saw it. The way I came home later and later, the way I turned away from him in bed. One night, in the darkness of our room, he finally asked, his voice quiet, almost broken. Are you seeing someone else? I froze. You're not the woman I married, he whispered. His words sliced through me, sharp and unforgiving. And deep down, I knew he was right. I had changed. And I wasn't sure if I could ever go back. I should have ended it then. Should have confessed everything. Should have begged for his forgiveness and walked away from Mr. Collins forever. But I didn't. Instead, I kissed Mike. Let him love me. Let him believe, for just one more night, that I was still his. And the next day, I was back in Mr. Collins's arms. Secrets are like fire. At first, they seem controllable, contained, kept hidden away in the shadows. But eventually they spread. They consume everything. And before you realize what's happened, you're standing in the wreckage, wondering how it all slipped away. The night everything fell apart, I was lying in bed beside Mike, pretending to sleep. But my mind was elsewhere. My body still hummed with the memory of Mr. Collins. His touch, his scent, the way he made me feel. Guilt twisted inside me, sharp and relentless. How much longer could I keep this up? The answer came sooner than I expected. The next morning, I was in the shower when I heard Mike's voice, sharp, cold, unfamiliar. What the hell is this? My stomach dropped. I turned off the water, wrapped a towel around myself, and rushed into the bedroom. Mike stood there, holding my phone in his trembling hands. The screen was lit, an open message displayed in glaring clarity. Last night was unforgettable. I want you again. Same place, same time. My blood ran cold. This was it. Mike's grip tightened around the phone, his knuckles white. His voice shook. Who the hell is Mr. Collins? I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. He stepped closer, his eyes dark with betrayal. Answer me. I opened my mouth, but no words came. What could I say? That I had lied to him for months? That I had given my body to another man while he worked tirelessly, unaware of the trail of deception I had carefully constructed? That I had fallen, completely and utterly, for someone else? Tears burned behind my eyes. Mike, I started, reaching for him. But he let out a bitter, broken laugh. Oh my God, he whispered. His voice cracked. It's true. You've been cheating on me. I panicked. It's not what you think. Not what I think. His voice was raw, filled with something I had never heard before, hatred. Then tell me what this is. I had nothing left. No more excuses. No more lies. And so, I told him everything. By the time I finished, Mike was shaking. His face was twisted in pain, betrayal cutting deep into every line of his expression. You didn't do this for me, he said finally, his voice hollow. You did this for yourself. And he was right. That night, he walked out. Didn't pack a bag. Didn't take a single thing. He just left. And I was left sitting in the silence, my world in ruins.